In this video, we will look at Michael Sandel's principles of communitarianism. Michael Sandel's principle of communitarianism emerged as a criticism of John Rawls' theory. Sandel definitely do not wish to go back to authoritarianism, but he believes that the autonomy of person can also be achieved by going beyond the framework of right-based liberalism. What Sandel says is that the right-based liberalism misunderstands the concept of human self by detaching and uprooting the individuals from their community. Further, Sandel criticizes John Rawls' notion of original position. In John Rawls' notion of original position, where an individual is in a position wearing veil of ignorance, is stripped of his or her social identity and agrees to certain principles. So here Sandel says that Rawls has failed to recognize the connection between individual morality and communal bonds. What Sandel thinks is the principle that is agreed in an original position can be better accurate if the perspective of an individual encumbered with social duties are taken into consideration. So communitarians like Michael Sandel, Charles Taylor, McIntyre, they do not agree with the liberal theory of justice or liberal theory of individualism. The liberal theory of justice holds true only when we assume the liberal theory of individualism to be correct, where people are seen as cut off from their roots, where they do not have any connection with each other. And they only agree to cooperate with each other to achieve long-term and short-term goals. Communitarians suggest that this reduces the individual to merely a metaphysical will, where they have an ability to choose any set of goods or any set of values, and they can also retrace their steps and modify their prior choices. Sandel says this is not reflective of the real life at all levels. Sandel says that an individual is first a member of the family, community, and also has an ethno-religious background. Sandel believes that all of these culminates into the identity of the individual. So Sandel says that justice can be equated with ethics only if such justice takes into account the human connections and human responsibility which stems from their membership of their community. The crux of Sandel's communitarianism can be summed as: we find a good in common which we cannot find alone. There are several issues where liberals and the communitarians have debated about. For example, the idea of self. Communitarians like Michael Sandel, Charles Taylor, McIntyre, they believe that the liberals did not challenge or affect the notion of atomistic individuals which is propagated by libertarians. Charles Taylor, a fellow communitarian thinker, has defined atomism as something which gives prime importance to the individual rights and something which views the society or a state as where the individuals come together to fulfill their individual rights. In the context of the debate between John Rawls and Michael Sandel, especially with regard to the notion of original position and veil of ignorance, Michael Sandel observes that to imagine someone without any connection to the community or society is like to imagine a person without any character or moral depth. Michael Sandel could not conceive of an idea of the individual having any identity that is prior to or independent of his or her membership in a community. Secondly, the communitarians and liberals have also disagreed upon the idea and role of a community or a state. For liberals and libertarians, the idea of a community is something that promotes individualism rather than collectivism, something where there should be a pursuit of self-interest as opposed to collective good, something where the role of a state is limited to being a police state, and as opposed to a state having a role in resource distribution. The libertarians and the liberals also advocate for an abstract state which acts as a neutral between the competing rights and duties. So this is something opposed by the communitarianism. They say that promoting individualism or the pursuit of self-interest is will affect the structure of the social fabric and will destroy social cohesion and solidarity. Finally, they also argue about the idea of political philosophy. For communitarianism, they do not want to validate a non-existent universal principle, but merely they want to make explicit the shared values of the community. So, to them it is actually the political philosophy is all about contextualism rather than universalism.